Okay, well, good Friday morning, Jet fans. It is November 15th, 2019, 9:36 a.m. Yes, the clock still reads an hour late. I will fix that, I promise you, before the video on Monday. I'll do it sometime over the weekend. I'm going to try to get this video in fairly quickly. I don't know how much battery life I have left on my laptop. We have no power here in our home and in the neighborhood. It seems that an animal must have bit through some wires and disconnected the power. Um, so we have a lot to go over. There's some news about the Jets and another disgruntled player maybe filing sanctions against the Jets. Actually, maybe two more players. We're looking at the Week 11 matchups. We're looking at, of course, the Jet preview going down to Washington. And we're looking at any news that happened during the week for the NFL. So let's quickly start recapping tomorrow. Colin Kaepernick and his agent, along with the NFL, will be holding a workout in Atlanta. A handful of teams will be going right now. The Jets and the Giants are both scheduled to be there. I honestly do not think the Jets or Giants will pick up Colin Kaepernick. Whether you believe what he's saying, you don't believe what he's saying, I think for these two teams, it's a high-profile circus that would ensue. It's Week 11; it wouldn't do anything. Um, I don't know. Um, that's just my thought. I'll have more on this on Monday as we get results and we get more news on it. Week 11 started last night in Cleveland. And you got to think early in the season, if you look at this matchup with Beckham and Baker Mayfield and Chubb, and you look at Pittsburgh's side with Roethlisberger and their team, and you say, wow, this is going to be a good matchup. This can mean something this late in the season in Week 11. Didn't mean much. I mean, both teams are still barely in the hunt. You'd think Pittsburgh would have the advantage, but you know what? The Cleveland Browns outplayed them last night. Baker Mayfield made plays when he had to. The defense on the Cleveland Browns made some plays and picked off Rudolph, the quarterback for Pittsburgh, twice late in the game. This game, the referees were involved with a lot. There was a series of plays where there was 2 or 3 pass interference calls on the same drive. Reminded me of the Dallas Jet game about 4 weeks ago. Also, I believe in the first half, there was an ejection to the Cleveland Browns DB. He went head-to-head on a defenseless receiver. Reports where the receiver was bleeding from his ear. He was extremely shaken up and taken off the field. That player was ejected for the hit. Late in the game, an interception kind of sealed the game, and the Cleveland Browns had a 21-7 lead. Under a minute, I want to say, left in this game. It was very, very late, where it just got ugly. Rudolph, the quarterback for the Steelers, was wrapped up by Myles Garrett. I mean, Myles Garrett just about got there as quickly as you could without actually making the sack. He didn't realize it, but Rudolph dumped the ball off to his running back. Garrett wrapped Rudolph up and drove him to the ground. Probably 2 seconds after the ball was actually out of his hands. You could see the Pittsburgh linemen looking around like they could not believe what was going on. Where was the flag? As Rudolph hit the ground, he immediately started swinging at Garrett. He went to take Garrett's helmet off. They both scuffled till they got to their feet, which was amazing, close to the end zone, where Myles Garrett actually removed the helmet of Rudolph and hit him over the head with it. It was a solid hit, but it didn't catch his face. It hit him in the head. Punches, swinging. It was an all-out bench clearing. A pitcher, throwing at the head of a batter. A hockey player getting checked into the boards from behind. Bench clearing brawl. In the end, it looked like there were 2 plays ejected from Cleveland. There's going to be suspensions brought down. I don't know if Rudolph will get suspended for going for the helmet as well. To the point where on the next play, it was 4th down. Mike Tomlin put in his backup quarterback. I mean, you're down to your 3rd string now. He took a knee with 5 seconds left, and he told his offensive players to get off the field. After a few moments of we didn't know what was going on and whatnot, the Cleveland Browns offense, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense went out there. They took a knee and they left. I will say this. in the post game on the field. Baker Mayfield had his team take full responsibility for what happened with Myles Garrett, and actually called Myles Garrett out on what happened, saying that he not only lost his head, but he has harmed the team with maybe a partial or a full suspension for the rest of the year. Now, as time went on and they did post game in the locker room and at the podium, Baker was critical, but he kind of swung it towards maybe the media is going to make a lot out of this. I mean, it is what it is. You could see what happened. You could see just how bad it was. So that was last night when Week 11 started. Pittsburgh falls to 5-5. They're still slightly in the hunt. Cleveland got themselves to 4-6. I mean, I don't know if 9-7 will get you into playoffs, but they have a chance to get this game going if they need to. I'm still looking around to see if we got power back. Nothing yet. So let's go into some news. We heard about the player on the Jets who filed the grievance a couple of weeks back because of surgery that was denied, and then he wasn't getting paid. He wasn't getting fined. He was getting fined. I don't know if you remember the name Luke Falk, but he was the backup to the backup on week 2 behind Trevor Siemian. He actually started the game. He continued the game against Browns when Siemian went out. He actually started the game against the Patriots and the Eagles the following 2 weeks. He actually was injured. I think he has a hip injury or a leg injury. I'm not sure what the injury is. But he was cut from the Jets. And he is filing a grievance against the Jets and suing them, saying that it was a football-related injury and it should be covered. Yesterday, while this is all going on during the Cleveland game, and I'm on Twitter and posting what I think needs to be posted and reading also things about how bad Woody Johnson is and Chris Johnson is and whatnot, and just more ammunition. Quincy Enunwa, who was on his second major injury, had tweeted something that he couldn't take it anymore, and some of his teammates said that it was a messed up situation. Quincy is on IR. He had neck injury. He is supposed to be in treatment. I don't know the schedule of treatment, but that's part of what goes on. When he's on IR, I don't think he needs to report to the facility as many times as the players that are active do, but I believe he has to report. I'm not sure what the protocol is. Monday was Veterans Day, and he missed his therapy session. They said he missed 2 sessions already. He was fined the maximum, I think it was like $27,000. He went on a Twitter rant on how it was Veterans Day, and he took his wife out for lunch because she was a veteran, and then he had an emergency in the home, and I get it. If you read it that way, you say, wow, the Jets, how can they find this guy? But there has to be more to this. I tweeted this last night. There's 3 sides to every story. First of all, I don't know what his contract reads. I don't know what any player contract reads. But if there is a protocol of if you're on IR and you're seeing our doctors, you need to show up, and you need to show up to the facility or wherever you have to show up to get the therapy, to get the PT or whatever you're getting, you need to show up. If you can't show up, you need to call in advance. Obviously, if it's an emergency and you can call as soon as you could, you call as soon as you could. I'm pretty sure he knew he was taking his wife out for Veterans Day, since he's a veteran. And I'm not slighting anything with that. I thank you for your services, Mrs. Anundwa. We had a thing on Veterans Day earlier this week and last week. You make the ultimate sacrifice. You do what a lot of people can't, and you put yourself on the front lines in front of all of us. But you can't tell me that Quincy did not have any recollection that he wasn't going to take his wife out for Veterans Day, or maybe take her out to dinner, or maybe call and reschedule. I don't think you're on your way to therapy and said, oh, let me take my wife out, and then didn't show up. There was some premeditated thought to that, and you should have called. The emergency at home, I hope all is well. He didn't disclose what it was. But again, if you have a regular job, a 9-to-5 job, or a 11-to-7 job, or 3-to-11 job, or whatever your shift may be, if you can't make it, you're calling in. You're calling in as it's happening. when you know or as soon as it's done. Um, or else you're getting, fined, you're getting a violation against you or whatnot. So, can the Jets have made a hard ass on this? Yes, I think they are. I think they're taking a stance. I think they're showing accountability. Now, excuse me, you could say accountability. Well, the coach is getting an extension. Christopher Johnson came out and said, there won't be any changes this year, and he'll be here next year, and all of that. But it is what it is. Okay, this could be a Coach Gase decision. This could be a Joe Douglas decision. This could be an organizational decision. If you work for the team, if you work for a company, if you work for a mom and pop shop, and these are the regulations and the rules in your contract or in your handbook or in your policy manual, you have to oblige by them. Do I think they're a little bit of a hard ass on this? It could be. Do I think Quincy's being 100% transparent on this? No. Do I think the Jets are, not being transparent on this? The Jets haven't had any word to say about this. We'll find out more today because this tweet came out late last night. And of course, you have the anti-Gase, Douglas, Christopher Johnson regime just killing the Jets for this. Listen, I support the team. Whether I agree with them or I don't agree with them, I support the team. Do I make some of the decisions they think? Do I think some of the decisions they make are incorrect? Yes, I do. But that's what it is. I support the colors. I support the team. Whether it's Coach Gase, Coach Ryan, which is another thing. Rex came out and did something with the New York Post and basically was recorded in saying that Coach Gase needs to embrace the players that he had, that he thought Todd Bowles had more of a relationship with the players, and Rex, I don't know if he's lobbying for a job, and I would love to have him back. Everybody who knows me knows the tremendous Rex fan I am. Said something like, the Jet team he loved. He loved working for the Jets. He loves the Jets. He took the Bills gig to take a job. He got fired after going 500. It was just a gig, but he loves the Jets. Now, whether he's lobbying for a position here, I don't know. I would take him back in a second. Could you imagine him and Greg Williams on the sidelines? So that is the news. I'll keep you updated on what happens over the weekend with Quincy. We may not hear anything until later on today or on Monday. So the matchups for this weekend. Cowboys go to Detroit. Detroit's 3-5-1. They're getting 4.5 points. Cowboys are 5-4. They need this win just to keep up with the Eagles, who were on a bye last week. So I like the Cowboys in Detroit. I don't think Matthew Stafford is back, and I think they cover. Let's see. You got Bills, Dolphins, and if the Bills want to keep pace with a wild card and with the Patriots, they need to be the Dolphins team who won the last two in a row. Bills are 6-3, Dolphins are 2-7. I think the Bills win. I think they win by 1 or 2. I don't think they cover the 5.5 that they're giving the Dolphins. Patriots, Eagles. Patriots 8-1 going to Philly 5-4. There'll be a lot of Patriot fans there. They travel well. Patriots coming off a bye. I mean, Bill Belichick is just an evil genius. 3.5 point favorites. I think the Patriots win outright, and I think they cover the 3.5. This is a big game for the Eagles because if they drop this, they go to 5-5, and if the Cowboys beat the Lions, they'll be tied. So the Eagles need this win to keep that game at hand. The Monday night game, Chiefs Chargers. That'll round up Week 11. Chiefs are in LA. They're 6-4. Chargers 4-6. I don't like the Chargers. I know they beat Green Bay. I know they're home, but I think the Chiefs just beat them. The Chiefs are a better team, but they have to show that they're a better team by beating the teams they should beat. They should go to 7-4 and continue. So our Jets, Jets travel down the turnpike. They go to Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, where, there's never any type of controversy going on in that town. But the Jets come off their win against the Giants. They're 2-7. They're getting 1.5 against the Redskins. I think Sam Darnold can show and prove the critics wrong. Now, he hasn't had many critics. I think more of the critics are towards Adam Gase, not developing him. And, hey, we got lights on. Not developing him more than Sam regressing on his own. But he played well last week. He made some what I would call scary, not scary throws, but dangerous throws and connected this time. Whereas against the Dolphins and Carolina and New England, he threw picks. And Jacksonville last week, things fell the right way. I think they're playing a team who can be beaten, and they've shown they can be beaten. They've only won one game. They're 1-8. I don't think we're that much better than them, but with a rookie quarterback over on Washington, our Jet defense should be eating him up. This is a game where I want to see Quentin Williams get in there 2 times and get 2 sacks, maybe a forced fumble or a strip sack or something. Jamal Adams, listen, you've been talking off the field. Last week, you played your best game as a pro, great stat line, 2 strip sacks, 2 fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, a lot of pressures, a lot of tackles. I think you had 9 tackles. I don't know how many were for losses. Do it again this week. This is a game that the Jets can show that they will be prepared for. You listen to WFAN, and God bless Joe Beningo. He is the epitome of a Jet fan who's watched his team from inception. He's calling that the Jets lose. He's almost guaranteed that they lose this game. So it's funny because that would just be the Jet way, the history way, where you come off a win against the Giants, a win you needed, and just to save face, and then you lose to a team who's far more inferior. Also, keeping with the team, Sam Gase was endorsed. No, I'm sorry, Sam Gase. Adam Gase was endorsed by Sam Darnold this week, and by Christopher Johnson. So you rewind, and Chris Johnson actually endorsed Sam. Sorry again, Adam Gase prior to the Giant game. So win or lose, he was endorsed that there would be no changes this week, this year, and he'd be the coach in 2020. Now that could change. That could definitely change. We've heard that, so-and-so will be here next year, so-and-so. And then once the offseason comes and they hear that a coach may be available and willing to come to the team, they may let him go. But he backed him for the rest of the year. A lot of people did not see him making it through the year. I thought after the loss to the Dolphins, it would be that Monday morning he'd be cut. He will go through the rest of the year. He has the Redskins this week, the Raiders next week, the Bengals after that, the Dolphins, trying to think who else they have, the Steelers, and the Bills. So there is a chance he could make a run. I mean, the other teams look at us and say they can make a run as well. I won't give a prediction of how I think they finish out, but they could do pretty well on winning and losing for the rest of the season, not in the standings altogether. I think the team now is starting to play a little bit better. I mean, it's one game, but you can see what Jamal Adams and the defense can do. The secondary is just depleted, and that's going to be an overhaul in the offseason. Their offensive line is going to be an overhaul in the offseason. But right now, I think they match up well with the teams they're going to be playing coming up, except maybe the Bills, who they almost beat week 1, and Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh always gives them a hard time, and Pittsburgh's a good team. So after the Giant win and the news this week, excuse me, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, Sam Darnold was with reporters, and he said it'd be great to have Adam Gase back next year. He can't wait to have him for OTAs. And it's funny because this is a text that went back and forth between me and my other family members a couple of days ago, or maybe even yesterday. And one of my cousins, Richie, said, OTAs mean nothing. You're in, shorts and a T-shirt, you're tossing the ball around, and you're running some drills. I think OTAs are, to me, what pitchers and catchers reporting are. You're, shaking off the rust. Yes, you keep in shape most of the year. You're on your own regimen of working out, but you keep in shape the rest of the year. You go to the gym, you get your lifts in, you do your drills or whatever at home, or, I know Sam gets some of the players together, they meet up. Sanchez used to do that as well. He called it Jets Camp West. But I think OTAs is when you get, some of your playbook, you sit down, you go over verbiage, you go over signals, possibly some routes, and it's almost like a guy's vacation, that weekend away or that few days away, where you're just, reminiscing about the year before, and you're looking about, what you're going to do coming up this year. So OTAs, they may look like, a waste of time and a waste of energy. There should be more hitting. I agree there should be more hitting in camp, in training camp. But I think OTAs is that first step towards football's back. Maybe it's more of a fan thing. Football's back. Who's getting conditioned? Who passed their physical? Who failed their physical? And what kind of shape you're in, and what kind of culture and philosophy the GM and the coach and the players will have this year. So Sam Donald endorsed, his coach Adam Gase. I don't know the words exactly, but it was all positive messages, and he says he looks forward to having him here. As of right now, it looks like he'll be back. I am not a believer in Adam Gase right now. He needs to prove to me a lot more. This team needs to be more prepared. This team needs to have more depth, and that goes back to general manager work. But you look at many of the other teams, you could take players out who are injured, who are suspended, who are not playing well, and put another piece in that position, and most of the time they're successful. And we've seen it this year in the quarterback position, in Jacksonville for many games, in Pittsburgh almost the entire season, in Carolina for a few games, trying to think what other teams. That just comes off the top of my head. And also, even in the Chiefs, I know Mahomes was only out a couple of games, but there was success there as well. So that's what I'm looking for too. Not just game planning. It has to be the whole strategy, the whole culture of, if my starter DB goes down, who comes in next? Middle linebacker. We went through how many middle linebackers this year? The injury report this week has 23 players. Last week had 26. So, all right, we're going in the right direction, but still, that's unheard of. That's unheard of. It's ridiculous. But that the injury bug fell on us. That happened to us in '99. I remember that. We had a lot of injuries. It started with Testaverde. It actually started with Corbett in the preseason, then Testaverde. And I think it was Jason Ferguson. It just spiraled downhill. And the team still missed the playoffs by one game because Parcells waited too long to put Ray Lucas in, but Ray Lucas was ready to go because Parcells was that kind of coach and he had his team prepared. So I think, time will tell with Adam Gase. His back is against the wall. He's sitting in the hot seat, in my eyes. And, I know everybody's saying the owner is clueless. The owner wants to win. You make more money winning than you do losing. You get more endorsements winning than you do losing. Yes, they do have close to a sellout every game. Yes, they do have a lot of corporate seats. Yes, they make a lot of money on selling tickets to third parties, and that's the fans that do that, not the team itself. And teams sometimes will sell, directly, but you're not gonna bankrupt this team by not going to the games or by boycotting and buying stuff. Whether the seats are empty or not, they're gonna make money. Concessions may be down, but you know what? People who don't go to the games all the time may go online and say, "Hey, let me buy tickets. They look like they're cheaper this week." Fans of opposing teams will buy tickets. Parking is paid for, so you're not going to get them that way. And my thing is, you're not going to get them by flying a plane. If any owner succumbs to pressure by public outrage by flying a plane or putting up signs or billboards, then he's not strong. They're not strong. You got to stand your ground. Now, if he fires Adam Gase at the end of the season, these people who supported the GoFundMe page and fly the plane are going to say, "Look, we won. We got a point across." And every time something happens with this team, it's going to right away turn to them. But if he has a plan, first of all, you don't want him to spite the team and not make the decision. But if he has a plan to replace Adam Gase, he has a plan. If he has a plan not to replace Adam Gase, he has a plan. And by that, you have to stand by him. You have to support the team. Or else I feel that way. That's the way I feel. So my support of the team, I think the Jets have a big game this week. I think they win 24-14 this week. Maybe even 24-13. Maybe it's not 2 touchdowns. Maybe it's a touchdown and 2 field goals they give up. I think Jamal has a sack. Le'Veon Bell was injured late in the last game. That's why he wasn't in on the field. I saw that report later. on Monday. That my cousin Richie also sent me that information. That's why I wasn't in on that last drive. And he was also out Wednesday out of practice with an illness. He was limited yesterday. I think he plays. I've been saying all year, this is the defense that he gets his 100 yards and touchdown. This is his breakout game. I'll say it again. So 24-13 with my heart. With my head, I think you got a typical bounce back game with the Jets here where they are not as strong as they were the week before. They don't come out as crisp as they were the week before. But I do think they win, and I think they win 21-20. So that's where we are now. We are week 11. Anything comes up, any breaking news, I will put out there on Twitter. You can follow us, of course, our website, www.nyjetstories.com, www.nyjetstories.com. Facebook, NY Jet Stories is our Facebook page. Twitter, at NY Jet Stories is our Twitter handle. Of course, on YouTube now, this YouTube channel, Alex Parziali, NY Jet Stories. Please follow us. Send us your comments. Send us what you disagree with, what you agree with, your support. We want to hear it. We're very anxious to hear from our fans. That is our culture, our mission statement. A story for the fans, from the fans. We've been fans. People around who run the website, people who are subscribing, have been fans of this team many years. We discuss, we talk just about every day about this team, even more so than on game day, and that's what we're about. So we want to hear from the fans, and we want to get this channel out there and spread the word and spread the news and hear what you have to say. So again, have a great weekend. We'll hear more about the Quincy Enunwa situation. We'll hear more about the Kaepernick situation, the Myles Garrett, Rudolph situation, and any other NFL breaking news that may happen. Have a great weekend. I can't believe it. We are in the third weekend of November and getting close to where playoff spots can start getting clinched. Not here, but we'll start seeing the way the pieces fall. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.